Thank you for being here this morning. How's everybody doing as we start off our morning coffee talk for today? Enjoy this morning cup. And how's everybody doing on this Thursday? A beautiful day up here in the Northeast. The leaves. Later on, I'm going to take a walk, and just take more pictures and videos of the beautiful change of nature. That is the cycle of autumn and fall here in the Northeast, which I love, my favorite time of the year. Thank you, Lord, that I wake up another day to be able to appreciate that. Thank you for being here to talk to people, to address things, to be able to be the best version of myself, to be able to find ways to always better myself. And I think that is one of the things that I look forward to as I do these morning coffee talks. These morning coffee talks that they first started was during season 4 of Forge and Fire, where a friend I was working with actually gave me advice of starting to do this. And initially, it was really about talking to different things. It was really about me talking about things that I should be advising my young boys, because at the time they were going to school and in high school, I was away filming. But I wanted to do this for them so that they could see what I talk about, what I think about, all these different things. Turns out the young generation doesn't watch or use Facebook. So it turned up having my little community here. And it was, in the beginning, I'm like, what am I going to talk about? My gosh, because later on, these became serious conversations, topics where a lot of people would reach out with private messages, and a lot of people would actually identify with what we were talking about. I was not equipped to answer a lot of them, and got to the point where I was going to stop doing it, because I got, some of these are pretty deep. A lot of people who were part of the community are now gone. Some were on hospice. Some were talking to me going through chemo and dialysis and suicidal ideation and the impactful things. I didn't want to continue because some of the words are heavy. And I remember talking to someone saying, I'm no Dr. Phil. I'm not equipped for this, to handle such stories that you're sharing. And I remember saying, we're not fans of Dr. Phil, we're fans of you, so what you say seems to resonate deeper. I'm like, interesting. And I had a hard time always stressing myself, what am I going to talk about? And I realized, just be honest and talk about the things that you know. That'll be easy. But I thought, the things that I know are so boring. No, just talk about the things you know, but at least if you know it, you can talk about it. And I know that. All right, I'll do that. But the Lord works in mysterious ways. A lot of times what I say comes across in a very different way, and people take it differently. But all I want to hear is, I needed to hear this today. And that's all that matters. I remember why I also did it as it started to become something that we were doing on this morning coffee, was that there was something was missing when I switched career fields from the medical field to media. Something was missing. I wasn't sure. I thought, was it my martial arts? No, I'm still training. What was it? Later on, I found out that it was that connection I had with people doing what I did, respiratory breathing. You come into the hospital, I will take care of your breathing. I will change, whether it's your heart. We're all addicted to breathing. But it's also about being able to help them and have immediate change that I can see. Some we take care of in ventilators, in the ICU, in the floor therapy. It takes time. That's why I also chose emergency care. Right there and then. You come in with fluid in your lungs, or we're going to intubate, we're going to whatever. I'm going to do everything I can to turn it around. And I had that exchange of energy. I didn't realize how powerful that was that I took for granted. I just realized something was missing. Well, that's gone. I'm now in the media, but I am talking to people. How am I going to do that? My brother posted a question to me. He goes like, what are you going to do when you meet your creator? And he's going to ask you, what have you done with the gifts and blessings I've given you? Am I going to do a Kali demo, a cutting test, a kill test? Then I realized, no. He gave me the gift of being able to communicate and share things with people. What am I going to do with that? And thus we had the morning coffee talks. As we're having this morning coffee this morning, I talk about a lot of things that I know, or things that I need to work on myself. So they are not answers, they're reflections. They're reflections of logic, things that are logical to me that I myself have to practice. And I share that. And in so doing, I learn a lot about myself. I learn from the comments. I make sure I try to read and put heart there so I can go through that. But I'm at least having that exchange. And it served me well. But let's also put into point here that I don't have all the answers. And everything that you see here, I have not mastered or practiced perfectly. These are things that I need to work on. We need to work on. And if I identify it, great. If you don't, it's something that, and it's learning these things. Because in expression of these things and projecting my thoughts, I've learned that I too am now learning for myself. But I've also realized that I've learned this way of doing things where ignorance is bliss, not knowing of things, shielding things, and then manipulating half-truths, of not sharing that, because it became a habit in my upbringing. Now, we've talked about a lot of this. Where do I draw my issues? I look back in the past and I find out why. And that's how I'm able to fix it, if I identify it. So, no secret that I came from a broken family. Both families separated. And yesterday I had a very good conversation with someone that I've tried to protect, also saying things that I felt but I didn't want to say. And once again, there goes that deception and manipulation of half-truths, or not saying things because you don't want to disappoint anyone. And I'm like, why do I have that? That I always try to please people and I don't want to disappoint them. Then I look back at when did I ever have that feeling of fixing things or manipulating my own truth so that it serves the idea that I'm not disappointing others. When I think I realized at 7 years old, my family had broken up. Both families at that moment hated each other. I'm caught in the middle. And when words were said about this family who I love, and words were said about that family who I love and everything, I'm caught in the crossfire because I'm the one who was jumping back and forth with living with them. Guys. So when that happened, I started to realize that when they told me a bad thing about them, I'd go to them and tell them opposite of that. I tell them, oh, they said nice things about you. And they'd come back harsh. I said, no, they said, and then I would play that game back and forth. It became habit because no one's getting hurt. This was such a hurtful situation. But because I was internally manipulating the truth to think that I am controlling both sides, and became a habit at 7 years old. No young kid who's trying to develop themselves should be put through. But it made me angry. I got angry. Why am I having to do this? But I'm not going to show my anger. I'm this nice kid, remember? I'm trying to play games. I'm trying to do all this to make everybody happy so that they don't hate each other. Or am I causing this? But I'm angry inside. Thus came my anger issues and all the fights that I did. Finally, I remember when I was able to get out of my own, the last time I got kicked out of school, one of my favorite aunts, Aunt Rita, pulled me aside and said, we put a lot of money for you to go to a very prestigious school. It was a prestigious school. It was a good school to go to. A lot of wealthy-to-do families went there, and our family put money together to make sure that I got to go there. And what did I do with that gift? I threw it away by getting too many fights. Well, my grades were great. My conduct, too many fights. I got kicked out. So she pulled me aside and we had this very important conversation where she told me, you need to think about where you're going to end up in life if you're going to get kicked out all the time. Do you want to end up like that janitor right there? And she pointed out the janitor was cleaning around, right? I remember it vividly. Or do you want to be like Don Soriano? And she picked up all these big names in the Philippines who were these judges. And she painted a picture that was so amazing that that's who you want to be. That's the image you want to project, not this janitor. It was all about hiding and showing. You cannot be vulnerable. You have to be strong. You have to show. And by doing the things that you're doing, you're going to end up like that. And is that the image you want to do? It was impactful. So that only fed into my way of manipulating things, because then I went to high school and it was like a military style. I thought, oh, good, I'm gonna show them. I'm gonna be Mr. Personality here with the Glee Club. I'm gonna be Mr. Sports here as an athlete. I'm gonna be also this, because it was like a military school, right? We had our own cadet officers. We had marched to classrooms, and I'm gonna be an officer and a gentleman because my father was one. All for the facade and showing everyone I am this cool. But inside I was angry. But if I'm a sport guy, if I'm in Glee Club, if I'm a popular guy, I gotta let this anger out, so I joined a street gang. Because I liked and had to get my fights out. The facade of manipulating things. But ignorance was bliss, not for me. Ignorance was bliss that if I don't tell them the things that they need to hear, which is the honest truth, they're not going to get hurt. I'm not going to be that person to hurt them. But I'll hurt you in a fight. I'm not going to hurt you emotionally by saying things. And that is where it caused a cycle of doing things so that I will please other people by not telling them exactly how it is. It became a habit. A habit that I'm dealing with constantly. Why? Because if I don't hurt other people from that being young and telling them have to just make everyone happy, it's great. But here's the thing. It creates problems when you don't give the full truth and just tell the truth how it is. But in my eyes, I'm like, no. I can fix this. If I don't put it out there, I can fix this. You can't fix something that's not completely out there. But I'm used to fixing things. It'll catch up to you. That's when I realize I've created a lot of my own problems. I create my own problems simply by trying to fix things that aren't even needed to fix. That could only be fixed if I just put it out there and let everyone. Because when you're always trying to please everyone and make it this and that, you don't realize that everyone out there has their own truth and their own ways of fixing the problems. Who am I to say I can fix this? They're big boys too. They're big girls too. They can fix it themselves, or we face it together. It just is. There's my truth, there's their truth, and there's a real truth. But trying to manipulate things so that everybody's happy is not my job. It is what it is. And the more I try to fix it before it ever happened, I just am trying to fix something that never happened at all. And that's what I'm starting to realize. I am projecting my own fears. I am projecting my own issues that don't exist. I just had the habit that everyone out there needs to feel good. That everybody out there, if I hide this, I can make everybody happy. There's nothing to hide but the truth. And it caused more issues. Why is it that I found so much issues with that? Because of my own vulnerabilities as a young child. And as I grew into my adulthood, I started to make sure that what I'm going to do out there doesn't hurt other people. But if I do this and do that, I'm trying to fix things. Why? Because if they're good, I look good. I'm showing my own insecurities that I gotta look good. I don't need to look good. I am who I am. If I put out the truth and the truth makes me look bad, it shows I'm vulnerable. I'm not perfect. None of us are. These are issues that I got to deal with. But how about this? Why do I have to play and think that I am vulnerable? Why do I have to play and think that I am a victim? I'm not, because they don't look at me this way. There's only the truth that we can deal with. Interesting, isn't that? So the more I start to see myself as there is only the ability to just let the truth set you free and stop trying to protect and do things and make things great and everything else, it is what it is, the lesser problems I will have with having to deal with it. Because the problems that I have, I realize I've created myself. A lot of times when I project, oh, I gotta do this. You don't gotta do that. They're big boys, they're big girls. They're fine. All these things that I have ingrained in me of the doom and gloom exist only in my own head. I am constantly trying to prevent battles up there that don't exist. I am the cause of my own misery. I am the cause of my own problems. Because I wasn't honest with myself to begin with. I'm not honest with everybody else out there. Why? Because I'm trying to please everyone. And I think when I start looking at all these talks and positive talks and everything else, I'm starting to learn the truth will set you free. There are no battles out there except the ones you create in your mind. It's how I assign meaning to what's happening. Whatever happens out there happens. And you can't control others. So why am I trying to control the situation? I can only control myself. Here I am playing Mr. Referee. Here I'm trying to make things look good. When in fact, I'm manipulating things for things that don't exist. I'm creating solutions for things that don't have solutions. I'm manipulating the truth of what really is. And guess what? My Kali fed into that. That's a knife. That's a karambit. That's a stick. That's a hook. That's a puncture thing. That's a slasher. It's a pencil, Doug. It's just a pencil. It's for writing. Oh yeah, but I can stab with it. I can cut with it. I can mark myself. I can sign on somebody's forehead with it. No. It's just a pencil. A lot of times, I create my own issues because it became a habit. We develop things to protect ourselves for our own vulnerabilities that may have worked at one time in our life. But it catches up because it's not the tool for everything. It's a screwdriver. It's a hammer, and I need to build a house, so I'm going to use it as a screwdriver. I'm using no. It was a screwdriver at one point because it just helped move something, but it's not a screwdriver for everything else. And when I look at this, I go, it is what it is, leave it for what it is, and keep moving. Stop trying to adjust things and use the same answer. So, meaning that if it may have worked for me as a child, it's not working for me as an adult, but I still have that process. So when I have that way of looking at things, I start to realize that in my growth, you have to break habits. You have to create new things. You have to set boundaries of what you know truly works. And a lot of times, it's the only thing that I can do for myself, but stop trying to do it so that it's better for others. There is no answer here for what I'm doing with. There's only ideas and what I'm trying to work with to be able to be the better version of myself. And I'm learning, and I'll continuously learn. But I want to say thank you. Thank you for the ability to at least enjoy this journey together. What I say usually works or is something that I'm working on, and I hope that you have your way of taking what I say and sharing what I say that works for you. But don't try, or just remember that what works for you or the way you manipulate it is the way other people will see it. And you can't control other people. What they will do, they will do. What you do, on the other hand, only you can control that. So make the right choices or understand yourself as why do I keep going back and using the wrong choices? Because it's a habit. Habits are hard to break, but you can create new habits so that you can break those habits. We say, ignorance is bliss. What I don't know won't hurt me. I won't have that worry. I won't have this. I won't have that. That's temporary because the problem is still there. It's a temporary solution. Facing the truth is at least you're facing it head on. And that's why, hopefully, it makes sense and these are things I'm going to be working with. Dr. Marcaida here, Morning Cup of Joe. Thank you for joining me and being part of my own therapy. Have a great day, folks.